This is a gorilla. Your folks are both gorillas. You are a gorilla.
They propose revisions that always seem to involve less respect for the rights of free nations and less freedom for the individual. These matters would be difficult under any circumstances. They are further complicated by a trend in Western countries away from global engagement and democratic confidence. Parts of Europe have developed an identity crisis. We have seen insolvency, economic stagnation, youth unemployment, anger about immigration, resurgent ethno-nationalism, and deep questions about the meaning and durability of the European Union. America is not immune from these trends. In recent decades, public confidence in our institutions has declined. Our governing class has often been paralyzed. The American dream of upward mobility seems out of reach for some who feel left behind in a changing economy. Bigotry seems emboldened. Politics seems more vulnerable to conspiracy theories and outright fabrication.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets.
Now, as you may know, my running mate, Tim, is Catholic and went to Jesuit schools. And one of the things he and I have talked about is this idea from the Jesuits of the Magis, the more, the better.
Well, hello, this is Brett, and today is February 25th, in 2018, and we're here for another reading of Code Word Babylon, 666 Danger in the Vatican, the Sons of Loyola and their plans for world domination. What a yucky subject. Well, anyway, we're trying to bring a little bit of support to our brethren out there, and I'm joined here with Jörg Lissman in Belgium. How you doing there, Jörg?
Well, up to 2 seconds ago, quite fine, and now all of a sudden my PC crashed. I didn't even run anything on there. I don't know. It's incredible. It's incredible. Like you have a problem with that today is the 25th, right? That was already with the other reading that you couldn't change the date. You know, it's very easy, Brett. Yesterday was the 24th. Today is the 25th. Tomorrow is the 26th.
Yeah.
And we are here together today for the second reading on the Code Word Babylon. In the meantime, it's getting dark outside. And okay, let's see if my computer wants to work. I'm on the laptop for people who wonder, how can I talk on Skype and do this recording when my computer just crashed? That's because I have a laptop to spare and, no, not to spare, but as a backup, let's say. And that at least is working for the moment quite well. And now I only have to see that the computer doesn't do anything stupid. Windows problem reporting doesn't work anymore. Okay, I don't care. I don't need to report that stuff anyway. Okay, listen. We are going back to the reading of Code Word Babylon, Danger in the Vatican, the Sons of Loyola and their plans for world domination. We are at the moment reading in chapter 21, chapter 22, Sons of Loyola, their subtlety, genius, and various disguises. And we've just learned at the end of last broadcast about Prime Minister Tony Blair, and that he even received Holy Communion. And we were speaking about what that actually means by not only eating the wafer, but understanding that wafer, through the superstitious and idolatrous religion of Roman Catholic Church, is transformed, so-called, into the blood and flesh and divinity and humanity and of Jesus Christ, of our Savior, and that thereby people are even actually committing cannibalism. That's why it comes from cannibal, the priests of Baal, and you can learn about that when you read the Two Babylons from Alexander Hislop. He describes it very vividly how this came to be. So on the bottom of page 219, I will continue in this chapter now. And just want to remind my dear brother Brett that he keeps a an eye on the footnotes if there is something of importance that we have to see, and then we're going to finish this chapter and maybe go into the next. Let's see how far we come, or let's see where the Spirit leads us. It starts here. The Jesuits are also well represented in the University of Cambridge, as Augustine Birrell tells us. And they have infiltrated the Church of England so much so that those in the higher degrees of Masonry have been called Protestant Jesuits. Well, maybe this, Brett, is where Tom got his expression that he said the Freemasonry is nothing else but the Protestant arm of the Jesuits.
Sure.
Could be possible, huh?
Mm-hmm.
There's an amusing story that during the 18th century there was a dispute between the French lodges and the Freemasons of England. The French Masons issued circulars in which they referred to the English Freemasons as Jesuits. How many Jesuit Freemasons have clandestinely entered the Protestant communion we may never know, but we do know that they have taken a most solemn oath to infiltrate Protestant organizations and undermine them from within. Another quote here from the Jesuit oath that we read earlier in this book reading. Quote, "I do further declare that I will help, assist, and advise, and do my utmost to extirpate the heretical Protestant doctrines." Unquote. To this end, the order sends its missionaries or its emissaries around the globe, particularly to Protestant nations, to create schools, colleges, and seminaries, and to work in the various vocations and professions. I just have to laugh. I'm sorry, Brett, because the author says, to this end, the order sends its missionaries, which are emissaries, around the globe.
Right.
Okay, let's leave it at this. Okay, we know why we're laughing. To quote James Edgar Wiley, quote, "There was no disguise they could not assume, and therefore there was no place into which they could not penetrate. They could enter unheard the closet of the monarch or the cabinet of the statesman. They could sit unseen in convocation of general assembly and mingled unsuspected in the deliberations and debates. There was no tongue they could not speak. No creed means belief they could not profess, and thus there was no church whose membership they might not enter and whose functions they might not discharge. They could execrate the Pope with the Lutheran and swear the solemn league with the Covenanter, the Presbyterian, and the Anglican churches." Unquote. As Wiley warned in another place, quote, "There is no disguise which the Jesuit will not wear, no art he will not employ, no motive he will not feign, no creed he will not profess, provided only he can acquit himself a true soldier in the Jesuit army and accomplish the work on which he has been sent forth." Unquote. Mackenzie fingered them well when he said, quote, "Their spies are everywhere, of all apparent ranks of society, and they may appear learned and wise, or simple or foolish, as their instructions run." Unquote. For as the Jesuit Richard Ruscavage reminds us, the members of the great secret society have long assumed different forms when they wish to disguise their presence or influence in an organization. Throughout its own history, the Society of Jesus has served this social mission of the Church. From its very earliest origins, the Jesuit social apostolate has assumed various forms according to different times and places." Unquote. To offer some sense of the audacious double agency of the Jesuit priest who might secretly occupy a Protestant pulpit, I next clip an extract from page 50, The Jesuits, by the celebrated author James Edgar Wiley. Quote, "One day, In 1568, a man named Thomas Heath preached in the pulpit of Rochester Cathedral. He inveighed severely in his sermon against the prayer book. It hurt his conscience as being too little scriptural. He professed high Calvinism. After sermon, a letter was found in the pulpit which he had inadvertently dropped, addressed to him by a leading English Jesuit resident in Madrid. It revealed the fact that this zealous Protestant was a Jesuit in disguise, although he had spoken against his quote-unquote order. On searching his lodgings at the Queen's Arms in Rochester, there were found, says the Episcopal Register of Rochester, in one of his boots, his beads and several papers, among which was a license from the Fraternity of Jesuits and a bull dated the 1st of Pius Quintus, that's Pius V, to preach what doctrine that society pleased for the dividing of Protestants, unquote. What a revelation is this! Nothing has changed today. As Wiley commented, quote, these men put on and off a religion as they would a cloak, unquote. Every morning a Jesuit priest playing Protestant has to decide whether he should that day be of the Calvinistic persuasion or of the Lutheran persuasion or of a third creed, as ample latitude allows him. What else can we say to these men but bad, wicked, evil? As we saw before, Jesuit brothers are engaged and often disguised in ministries in over 100 nations on 6 continents. Mostly habito seculare means in civilian dress, not in the dress of a priest, remind you, not wearing their quote-unquote uniform. Yeah? Occasionally, the abbreviation SJ in capital or small letters will appear after a person's name, indicating that he is a member of the Society of Jesus. But not all Jesuits use it, for obvious reasons, of course. When you are a Jesuit in disguise, you don't sign with your name and SJ behind it. And so we must now delve behind the many charitable facades erected by these intriguing sons of Loyola, who, like the many-headed Hydra, continually morph and multiply themselves, mutatis mutandis. The sharp-witted Roman Catholic maestro Paolo Sarpi once remarked with his usual eloquence, and we shall see that he was right, quote, "The Jesuit is a man of every color. He repeats the marvel of the chameleon." I personally think that even a chameleon could still learn from a Jesuit, if you ask me. Because I don't think that there's any other kind of man, kind of society, member of society, who could act the way that they do in this world. I think the Jesuits in that case, or in that regard, let's say, in that regard, are completely unique. What a luck for us that there are not numerous more societies having under the same God. But the problem is that because, and this is I think what he goes into with the rest of the book too, because the Jesuits have infiltrated all other quote-unquote secret societies and even open societies and other things, this policy of the chameleon they use everywhere. So when you say, oh yeah, but I'm not a Jesuit, I'm just going down here to the lodge in my city and I'm being a Freemason, I'm a second-degree Freemason, and oh yeah, if I'm lucky next year, I will become master. And then you think you know it all, and then you think you got nothing to do with the Jesuits. Wrong answer. You got everything to do with the Jesuits. The Jesuits have founded Freemasonry as we know it today. It goes back to the founding of the Jesuits that they later then founded the Freemasonic orders. Yeah. And that is also why all that comes out of France, because the Jesuits are not Italian. They are not from Rome. No. The Jesuits were founded in Paris, France. And when you say Freemason, that is just the how do you say that? When you use Englishsize a word, that is the Anglicization. That's the word. That's the Anglicization of the French frère maçon. Frère means brother, and maçon means builder. Freemason, frère maçon. It's all going back to France, where also the Jesuits have been founded in 1534 in Montmartre in Sacré-Cœur and in the Saint-Denis, as you maybe remember from earlier readings. If not, well, again, what I always like to repeat, do your own studies to confirm the things that I say here and the things that Brett says. So now we are going to continue on page 222 with the next chapter, 23, which is called Behind 1,000 Masks, Loyola's Offsprings and Their Agents. You know, I was talking with Brett the other day, and the interesting thing that we came to and found out is how all these books intertwine. When you studied like I did, the reading of Rulers of Evil, Behind the Dictators, All Roads Lead to Rome, The Two Babylons, even that was in German, and you read all the stuff and you learn here a bit and you learn there a bit. And then you read P.D. Stewart's book, and all of a sudden you realize there is not so much new things that I learn in this book. Some people learn a little bit more, some people learn a little bit less. I actually, up to now, am surprised how much I know already of all this stuff. That's why sometimes I have this feeling that this book reading comes more easy to me, because it all is so familiar, even though I haven't read this book at all. But it's just connecting the dots, and as we read earlier in another chapter, reading between the lines. Very, very interesting to get into this. And I guess that this chapter that we are going in right now, Behind 1,000 Masks, well, that deals actually with the same chameleon subject that we dealt in the subject where we in the chapter we just come from, their subtlety, genius, and various disguises. Behind 1,000 Masks, Loyola's Offsprings and Their Agents. Hic et ubique. It starts with a Latin quote that says, here, there, and everywhere. We already read that also in the chapter before. Wherever you stand not alone. All roads lead to Rome. That's a good one. I didn't know that one. That's a good one. And from Woodrow Wilson, who was the American president that sold out the United States of America to the Vatican through the Rothschild Jesuit-led Federal Reserve Bank, comes the quote, there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, and so pervasive that they dare not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. As the devil has his surrogates, so it is with the sons of Loyola. I disagree. Because the devil's surrogates are the sons of Loyola. He just uses all his angels that he took with him when he fell from heaven, when he rebelled against the God of the creator of this world. When he rebelled against him, he took his demons with him. And these demons, these fallen angels, are now, through spiritual exercises, manifested in people. As the devil has his surrogates, so it is with the sons of Loyola. Those two are the same. The devil's surrogates are the sons of Loyola. In this chapter, we will have opportunity to see the Jesuits at their very best. Yeah, it is a shame that you can't invent just another word, because the word best to use for this devilish satanic doings hurts, actually, me. And I guess you too, brother.
Yep, that's right. You're
Adopting all measures and assuming every garb to gain success in their work, as Wiley so insightfully observed. In chameleon-like fashion, as Sarpi said. You remember, at the end of the last chapter, we were quoting Paolo Sarpi, who, by the way, if you do not know, was a friend of the astronomer Galileo. He was a Catholic priest and a man once held in high esteem at Rome. Coming from a footnote on the end of page 221. But now we are on page 222 and continue in the reading, where it says, Loyola's plan was not just to have an army of well-trained Jesuit soldiers, but also a vast network of lay and seemingly unconnected associations. Said S.S. Schmacker, quote, the Jesuits formed brotherhoods and associations of both sexes, in which they enlisted the most devoted knights of their religion and the most ardent foes of liberty. Unquote. Courteous reader, the Society of Jesus is the Proteus of all ages, able to change its shape at will and yet remain the same still. To achieve the Society's global ambitions, it is essential that the general have men in all walks of life and all vocations, fronting different philosophies whenever and wherever the cause may so require. Quote, there are Jesuits young and old all across the spectrum of opinion, says Jesuit Kenneth Baker, editor of the Homiletic and Pastoral Review. Journalist John Cargley in the Jesuit Weekly America, so that's a Jesuit-led magazine called America. If you ever doubt how the Jesuits, or if the Jesuits identify themselves with the United States of America, just look at their magazine. They call their weekly magazine America. What? Yes, the Jesuits call their weekly magazine America. In your face, when you think that you are living in a quote-unquote Protestant nation over there. Journalist John Cargley in the Jesuit Weekly America reminds his Jesuit readers, quote, there are Jesuits left, and there are Jesuits right, pro and con, for most any fight. So wherever you stand not alone. All roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, that's right.
So you see, the Jesuit is a man of every color, liberal or conservative, pro-life or pro-choice. According to his instructions, he transforms himself into for his mission. Courteous reader, I say again, the Society of Jesus is the Proteus of all ages, always changing and yet the same. Said R.L. Delisser, quote, they have disguised agents in masks. These know something peculiar to their work. They have crafty, shrewd, courteous, polished men who associated with the distinguished and powerful. These have instructions unknown to others. They have men, continues Delisser, sent out to ensnare the moral, serious, and unsuspecting. Unquote. The historian J. Wayne Lawrence comments, quote, the Jesuits are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order, and I guess that you know this quote from, told that it comes from Napoleon, right? Way that it starts already, it is that one that is actually attributed to Napoleon in his memoirs or whatever. So this is actually the historian J. Wayne Lawrence who comments, the Jesuits are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order with super-added features of revolting odiousness and 1,000 times more dangerous. They are not merely priests. or of one religious creed. They are merchants and lawyers and editors and men of any profession, having no outward badge by which to be recognized. They are about in your society. They can assume any character, that of angels of light or ministers of darkness, to accomplish their one great end. They are all educated men, prepared and sworn to start at any moment and in any direction and for any service, commanded by the general of their order, bound to the family, community, or country by the ordinary ties which bind men. Yeah, there is a word missing. Bound to no family, community, or country by the ordinary ties which bind men, and sold for life to the cause of the Roman pontiff. Unquote. No, this is not the Napoleon quote that I was referring to. My excuses, therefore. That is the historian J. Wayne Lawrence, but there is again a word missing, and that's why this last sentence didn't make any that much sense. So I'm going to read it again that we understand that correctly. They are all educated men, prepared and sworn to start at any moment and in any direction and for any service, commanded by the general of their order, bound to no family, community, or country by the ordinary ties which bind men, and sold for life to the cause of the Roman pontiff. Unquote. And I would even add, as we have read earlier in this book, sold for life to the cause of the general of their society. Once again, Sun Tzu, and if you want to learn more about Sun Tzu, turn to my reading of Rulers of Evil, where you can read part of Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, which was published in 1772 by the Jesuit Amiot in France, who published that book with the allowance, allowance is another, it means something else in English, with the permission of the Superior General of the Society of Jesus at the time, Lorenzo Ricci. This Amiot put out that book in French, The Art of War, L'Art de Guerre. That's the French title, by the way. And interesting that was published 1 year before the banishment of the the banishment of the Society of Jesus. So that when you understand that Art of War, when you read that Art of War, you know that it was only a blown cover as cover. Okay? So if you want to learn more, turn to my readings of Rulers of Evil. You'll find that there. Once again, Sun Tzu revealed the Jesuit strategy precisely in The Art of War. Quote, multiply your spies, put them everywhere in the very palace of the enemy prince. Have a list of the principal officers who are at his service. Know their first and last names. Know the number of their children, their relatives, their friends, their servants. Let nothing happen to them that is not known to you. Unquote. One way of doing this is through Freemasonry. Another by the use of other Masonic-like societies with no apparent connection to Catholicism. It has been said by many eminent and respected writers that the Jesuits of Rome have perfected Masonry for their sinister purpose of uniting all men, whatever their race, creed, or nationality, under one man. Speaking of this Jesuit Masonic connection, Helena P. Blavatsky wrote, quote, it is curious to note, too, that most of the bodies which work these Masonic rites, such as the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, the Rite of Avignon, the Order of the Temple, Fessler's Rite, the Grand Council of the Emperors of the East and West, the Sovereign Prince Masons, etc., etc., are nearly all the offspring of the sons of Ignatius Loyola. The Baron Hund, Chevalier Ramsay, Jody, Sinendorf, and numerous others who founded the grades in these rites worked under the instructions from the general of the Jesuits. These high degrees were hatched and no Masonic rite is free from their baleful influence, more or less. From Blavatsky's work, ISIS Unveiled. There's an interesting statement from former U.S. Naval Intelligence Briefing Officer Milton William, quote-unquote, Bill Cooper, in his book, Behold a Pale Horse. Quote, in 1952, an alliance was formed, bringing together for the first time in history the black families, meaning the European nobility, which have historically practiced occultic spiritualism, the Illuminati, the Vatican, and the Freemason are now working together to bring about the New World Order. Unquote. This, however, is not strictly correct, as there are a lot of things not strictly correct with William Milton Cooper, I'm sorry I have to say. But still, his work, and especially his book, Behold a Pale Horse, were things that in the beginning woke me up and set me up to do my research, as God led me. For as we have seen, P.D. Stewart continues, these forces have always been under one high command, although not openly. So they have been secretly working together while publicly antagonistic to each other, the principle of left versus right. Nevertheless, there is some merit in Mr. Cooper's observations. And I want to tell you another story to think about maybe. There are a lot of people who say, yeah, but when he is a Freemason, he cannot be a Jesuit. Because the Roman Catholic Church has always forbidden Freemasonry, you know? But that is their left-right paradigm, right, Brett?
Well, not only that, but you also have a ritual that you go through when you enter Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not biblical.
No.
No. You're
really
entering into the realm of the devil, man. I'm sorry, but
no, but the
really
point is that there are
yeah.
many people who say you are
Yeah.
whether Catholic or you're Freemason. You cannot be both.
Oh,
And that's not true.
no, it's
And that's not true because the
Not at all.
Jesuits founded Freemasonry.
I would say
can't
you can
go.
either be Gnostic or you can be, either you believe in, well, I don't know how you want to say this, Jörg, but
You can either go and be a part of a secret society or you can be of the body of Christ.
well, that's it. I mean, the body of Christ is really not of this world at all. That's the point, and the Gnostic faith just comes as a given. Well, we have to be Gnostics. I mean, this is universalism. This is what the world believes. So they believe the Pope because it's easy, It's easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to have any faith. They don't have any faith in anyone that will save them because there's no one that will save you but Jesus. That's the point. And they don't even want you to know that. Of course.
I think this last paragraph is very important to understand. That he says, yeah, this, however, is not strictly correct, as Mr. Cooper said this. For as we have seen, these forces have always been under one high command, although not openly so. They have been secretly working together. And this is speaking of the black families, the Illuminati, the Vatican, and the Freemasons.
Yeah.
Openly may be opposed, but secretly working together, exactly as the Jesuit oath states.
Yeah, that's right.
And as the Jesuits are the society, the organization that combines all these different societies, meaning the black nobility, combine them with Freemasonry, combine them with where does it say that here? The Illuminati, the Vatican, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Jesuits are the catalyst,
Yes.
You know what
yes.
a catalyst is?
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Changing things without being involved itself. That's what the Jesuits are. They are a catalyst for all these societies and actually steering all these societies. Therefore, he says, however, this is not strictly correct, and he is correct, P.D. Stewart, when he says that. For we have seen these forces have always been under one high command, and that high command is the superior general of the Society of Jesus, although not openly so, no, but according to the oath of the Jesuits.
Mm-hmm.
They have been secretly working together while publicly antagonistic to each other. The principle of left versus right, Hegelian dialectic. Nevertheless, there is some merit in Mr. Cooper's observations. Indeed, some of the most respected and cautious of men, with very conservative outlooks, have alerted us to the web of secret societies within the bosom of the Vatican. The prudent reader will, of course, require more than my bare assertions. I oblige with some details. I quote no less a person than Lord Robert Montagu. Quote, "The Roman Catholic Church is the largest secret society in the world, beside which Freemasonry is just a pygmy."
Yeah.
Now, I think, Brett, we are going to lose some listeners.
Oh, we may have lost them a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, we
know.
make some new ones.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
Roman Catholic Church is the largest secret society in the world? How can you say the Roman Catholic Church is a secret society? It has churches in almost every city, every village, every town. Even on the land, they have little chapels.
Oh, yeah.
What is secret? What is secret about Roman Catholicism? Well, I tell you what's secret about Roman Catholicism. That they have an esoteric knowledge that is not told to the gullible Catholics who attend church every Sunday.
Sad to say. Yep. It's absolutely the
Yeah.
truth. Yes.
And thereby it is a secret society because they have a inner knowledge and a outer knowledge. They
Oh, that
have
reminds
a
me of
secret and an open policy. Yes,
that reminds
Brett?
me of what Alberto Rivera said in the introduction to The Secret History of the Jesuits, where he said, quoted Hosea, my people are destroyed for lack of
For
knowledge.
lack of knowledge. Hosea
Yeah, this
4,
knowledge
6.
right here, the esoteric knowledge that they use against you, dear brethren of the Catholic Church, come out of her, my people. If you're in the Catholic Church and you're dealing with this, you need to come out. It's simple, but it's very painful because I'm sure you have attachments. I had attachments in my Lutheran church too. It's very painful to come to those knowledge and to inform your family about it because they don't want to hear it.
Well, tell that to Tom Frass.
Yeah. Oh,
he's the only one. He's the only one in his family who has that knowledge, and nobody wants to accept that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And they all shun him for that.
Oh, it's
like
sad.
You are probably shunned from your family.
Yeah,
huh?
Well, I don't even care. You guys can talk whatever you want behind my back. It doesn't matter to me. How about in my face, huh? Just tell me in my face and let's talk about it. Enough of the behind the back.
Yeah. But they can't do that, Brett, because the problem is that you uphold the Bible and they don't.
Well, that's the problem, Jörg, is this they think they have the right Bible. They think it's okay.
But they cannot refute anything you say biblically, Brett.
Yeah.
No book, no verse that they can put up that rejects anything that you say when you stand on the rock of the authorized version of 1611 King James Bible.
Yep.
It's simple as that.
Yeah, it is simple. It really is.
The only thing you have to do when the devil approaches you is hold up that book and he takes a run.
Yeah, he does. Yep.
He has no argument against that.
Yep.
That's why the devil or the Jesuits in his place are always attacking the character.
Yeah.
They cannot attack the message because they have no argument against the message. When their sophistry and casuistry comes to an end, the Bible shows them the limits. And then they only can attack your character, and that's all they can do.
And that's what they do.
There's
That's
a saying.
right.
There's a saying that says, "Don't shoot the messenger."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
deal with the message, but they can't deal with the message, and that's their problem. The Roman Catholic Church is the largest secret society in the world. Absolutely. Absolutely, but nobody wants to know that, nobody wants to understand that, nobody wants to believe that, and most of all, nobody wants to dig into researching that.
And no one wants to call
mean,
a spade and call them
Yeah,
what they are.
You know, when you go on the internet and you go look into the Vatican websites and you look into the Roman Catholic Encyclopedia from
Yes.
everything that is available there, and you put everything they say there next to the Bible.
Yeah,
They
especially
expose
that.
themselves
Yeah,
openly.
that's right. They do. Yep.
They expose themselves openly. There's nothing secret about it. The only
No, there
secret is
isn't.
that there is your gullibility, is your ignorance. And I don't
Yes.
I don't attack anyone personally. The one who
No, no,
does
no.
his research is of course accepted from this. But most of the people, let's be honest, in your friend in the circle of your friends, in the circle of your family,
Yeah.
most of them are gullible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
of them are indoctrinated. Most of them are
Absolutely.
ignorant to these facts. Nobody does his research anymore because who does his research sees this.
And once
And
you
that's
see
why
it,
I
you
always say
just,
do your own research.
yes, once you see it, then you just can't stop.
Yeah,
You
that's the
can't
point.
stop.
You know, once you saw that when you are sitting in Plato's cave, and once you see the light, you want to get more, and you want to get out, and you want to get into that light.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Exactly.
Yep. It
The
just,
Roman Catholic Church is the largest secret society in the world. Sorry, Brett, do you want to say something more? Then please.
no, please keep going, Jörg. It's
Oh.
good. It's good. We're done. Please.
The Roman Catholic Church is the largest secret society in the world, besides which Freemasonry is but a pygmy. Yeah. What is not so well known is that included in this larger corpus of secret societies are such organizations as the Round Table, the Council on Foreign Relations, Freemasonry, the Bilderberg Group, the Atlantic Bridge, all under the control of the Jesuit general. Interestingly, it says here in the footnote, the proper name for the Knights Templar Lodge is a round table. Do you think that is a coincidence? Perhaps.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to remark on this footnote 6 here that we passed up in the previous statement that we were tied up with there for a while. The Roman Catholic Church is the largest secret society in the world, besides which Freemasonry is but a pygmy. It says here, Lord Robert Montagu, recent events and a clue to their solution. And 1886, it says here, the author writes of a papal-inspired plot to undermine the British Empire by securing independence for Ireland. Interesting, hey?
Yeah, interesting. Because when you know the history of Ireland, that is just astonishing how little we have been told about that.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Now
didn't you touch that a little bit in All Roads Lead to Rome, the book by Michael de Semlyen? Or which book was that, Jörg?
Yeah, that was in All Roads Lead to Rome, but it was really just in the margins.
Very
actually.
small, very small.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we did touch
because
it there.
it dealt for a little moment with the oath of the Sinn Féin.
Yeah.
You know, but
Right.
that's all. He didn't go into that. And I have to tell you, that is a subject you have to study on your own.
Oh,
this
yeah.
Ireland thing. And
Yeah,
just a second.
Yeah, that's a really big one,
I had to adjust
actually,
my headset.
in the sense
Yeah,
that,
you know,
yeah.
You know, this goes back to even the 15th and 16th century, because then you have to deal with the Calvert family, who were papal soldiers and who secured Ireland for the Pope. And this Calvert family, of course, intermingled with the Carroll family. And then you have the Carrolls, Daniel, Charles, and John. as the real founders of the United States of America. So there you open a really other box of Pandora when you go into that island. And
Speaking
learn
of
into
that, I think we might be getting close to our hour mark here. I forget now. Are we getting close? 5-10 minutes?
I don't know. We talked about 15 minutes before we started the recording.
Yes,
so
exactly. So I think we
that's
got
half
5-10 minutes.
an hour
something
plus
like
20. So, yeah, okay. Let's just continue for a short while, because
Yeah,
I'm just
please.
enjoying myself reading this, what is said here, this round table, and then of course you have the Committee of 33 and all this stuff next to the Atlantic Bridge and Bilderberg and Council on Foreign Relations, Freemasonry, and then you have Chatham House, and you have what have you over there in America next to the Council on Foreign Relations? That
Oh boy, there's so much crap.
yeah, what's it
I
called?
don't
That this other big organization. It's
I'm
on the tip
drawing
of my
a
tongue.
blank.
It will come to me in a minute, maybe.
Sure.
Anyway, all these societies are under the control of the Jesuit general. This is the observation of a renowned author. Quote, "It is a strange phenomenon in the history of the Roman Church that every time there is a crisis of extraordinary value, new Masonic orders are called forth, and that is how the Jesuits came into being." Quote. The statement is pithy, succinct, and profound. Succinct, is it succinct, or how do you pronounce that word?
Oh
Brad?
boy. Yeah, succinct. I think it is succinct. I think it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't use that word much. I'll admit.
Succinct. So
Yeah.
that statement is pithy, succinct, and profound.
There we go.
What does it mean? That the Catholic Church has created new Masonic orders at every major crisis in her history. The general of the Jesuits, therefore, has a vast army at his disposal, even though only a handful in the higher degrees of these disparate bodies have any idea that their superiors take orders from the Jesuit general. It has been alleged that between 1946 and 1964, the 27th Superior General of the Jesuits, Jean-Baptiste Janssens, had the following under his control. Quote, the Sovereign Military of Knights of Malta, Scottish Rite Shriner of Freemasonry, the Order of the Illuminati, the Knights of Columbus, the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, B'nai B'rith, the Nation of Islam and its private army called the Fruit of Islam, the Mafia Commission, Opus Dei, and lesser brotherhoods like Skull and Bones. Unquote. The following abbreviations can often be found on tombstones, indicate to which secret order of Catholicism a deceased belonged. KM stands for Knights of Malta, which is normally abbreviated with SMON, which stands for the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. KSTI, Knights of St. Ignatius. KPC, Knights of Peter Claver. K of L, Knights of Loyola. KKK, Knights of Ku Klux Klan. KOTM, Knights of Maccabees. KT, Knights Templar. LK, Loyal Knights of America. MRA, Royal Arcanum. RMOKHSJ, the Religious and Military Order of Knights of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem. RK, Roman Knights. LOM, Loyal Order of the MOSE, that is. COF, the Catholic Order of Foresters, and the OES, Order of the Eastern Star, a Masonic order whose signe or motive is an inverted pentagram as worn by Satanists. In the Eastern Star Manual, we read the following, quote, the Order of the Eastern Star exists for the purpose of giving practical effect to one of the beneficent purposes of Freemasonry, for the welfare of the wives, daughters, mothers, widows, and sisters of Master Mason. Your badge is the square and the compass within the star, an emblem of the relationship existing between the Masonic fraternity and the Order of the Eastern Star. Your badge is the sun within the star. Your badge is the cross keys within the star. Quote. No, not unquote.
It's actually a footnote. It looks exactly like a quote because it's an 11. I would say the same thing, Jörg. Besides, would you mind if we go back to footnote 9 here? On the other page, we have the Knights of Columbus, named after Christopher Columbus, who was sent to the Americas to conquer new territories for the Catholic Church. Quote.
Let me just stop you there.
Yes,
Let me just stop you there.
Please.
You read
Yes.
Christopher Columbus, who was sent to the Americas to conquer new territories for the Catholic Church. So he was not sent out to find a Western way to the Indies and discovered by accident the continent of America.
Nope.
No, what our listeners have to understand, Brett, is the Vatican knows the Bible better than anybody. I mean, Satan knows the Bible better than any man on earth.
Yeah.
Right?
You got it. Yep.
And because of that, they knew all along that America was there.
Yep. And they know how to.
Matter that maybe the Vikings were there before and all that stuff. That is of absolutely no importance. The important stuff is Christopher Columbus was sent to claim the Eastern America, let's say, the Western world, the Western continent, to conquer and to claim these territories for the Pope. That was his job from the beginning. He knew that he would reach land, and he knew which land he would reach. That they used the deception of calling the Aborigines, meaning the original inhabitants of that continent, Indians, is one of the greatest deceptions of that whole continent up to today.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So when it says here, Christopher Columbus, who was sent to the Americas to conquer new territories, listen, how can you send someone to conquer new territories when you don't know that they are there? Because we are told in the school, I mean, I was told at least, I don't know what you are told in school. I was taught in school that Columbus was sent out on a mission to find a Western way to land in the Indies.
Oh, we're learning something about the Synagogue of Satan, Jörg. That's what this is. A very important lesson for Americans. To learn about the Synagogue of Satan. You know, and that's what we have here. The Knights of Columbus, named after Christopher Columbus. Yeah, and was sent to the Americas by the Pope, probably, right? Or the papacy, for sure, right? To conquer new territories. Well, how does the papacy work? He works through influence, doesn't he? And isn't the very definition of control to influence someone? To control someone is just to influence someone? So yeah, they're in control, all right. Man, I mean, it's just downright demonic, Jörg, when you figure out what this is.
Yeah, I mean, when you read a sentence like this, it is so in your face that all that we have been taught in the schools is just a scam.
It is a scam.
The Vatican knew all along that there was land. And why do they know that? Because they understand prophecy on beforehand. We most of the time understand biblical prophecy when it is done. And when we can measure the history to the prophecy. But they, because Satan knows it, Satan knows prophecy on beforehand. And when he read Revelation 13, he knew that there was a big lump of land that has not yet been quote-unquote discovered by the Western world, where almost nobody lives. And that was the Americas. So therefore, Columbus was sent out to conquer that land for the Pope, not by accident land in the United States or in America anyway, in the continent of America anyway.
Man.
on the way to find a new seaway to the Indies. That's just a joke.
Yes.
That's just the theater they play with you.
Yep.
And whether you are ignorant and you agree, or you finally wake up, do your own research and listen to our readings here and learn how you have been betrayed from your cradle up to where you are right now. And that is a very hard pill to swallow.
It is.
And I understand that better than anybody because I've been betrayed 45 years of my life. And Brett has been betrayed for so many years of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Brett, even worse, because he was visiting Lutheran schools, Lutheran churches with his family, and thought that he was quote unquote Protestant and didn't know what to protest.
Long story. Yeah.
We won't go into that right now. But
the
point is, Brett, and I'm very thankful that you bring this little footnote up here. The way that this sentence here is written says so much. Named after Christopher Columbus, who was sent to the Americas to conquer the territories. You know, the Spanish king and queen at that time didn't say, "Oh, sail ship and let's see where you land." They said, "Go and get the Americas for us."
Yeah, that's right.
Huh?
Yeah.
But anyway, you wanted to continue that footnote a little bit, I guess. So
sure.
I
Yeah.
Please go on.
I will. So we're looking at the Roman Catholic Church is the world's largest lay Catholic organization, quote unquote, of almost.
No, the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah. Or I'm sorry. Yes, the Knights of Columbus, named after Christopher Columbus, who was sent to the Americas to conquer new territories for the Catholic Church, is the world's largest lay Catholic organization of almost 1.7 million members, unquote. USA Today. Yeah, that's almost as bad as the old CNN, right? What'd you call that? Catholic News Network? It's about the same
CNN,
thing.
Yeah.
It's about the same thing. They're all Catholic controlled anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So, yeah, it is alleged the Knights of Columbus take a deadly oath very similar to the Jesuits. Oh, really? This is no Boy Scout organization. No, it's not. It's not at all.
Well, do you want to know where the oath of the Knights of Columbus differs from the oath of the Jesuits?
Sure, please, Jörg.
When the Jesuits swear that they will annihilate and destroy Protestants and all that stuff, and then they speak about liberals in the Jesuit oath, and in the Knights of Columbus oath, the word liberals is replaced by Masons. And that's the only difference. For the rest,
man.
For the rest, the two oaths are exactly the same. The Knights of Columbus and the Knights the Knights of Columbus and the Jesuits. And I know that very well because in the time when I did the recording of reading the Oath of the Jesuits with Michael Adams and Nothing But the Truth, I had the wrong oath. I read about the Masons, and then all of a sudden he interrupted me and said, Jörg, you got the wrong paper.
Oh,
there.
That's right. I think I remember that. Yeah. I listened to that a couple times. Yeah, that's a good one.
You have there the oath of the Knights of Columbus and not the oath of the Jesuits. And then I switched the papers and then I read the real oath. But except from liberals switching to Masons, there's no difference in these two oaths. So that, of course, could have happened, you know. No, this is no Boy Scout organizations. They have the same oath as the Jesuits. And you have to understand, of course, and that is the most important part of this, and then we're going to round this up in a few moments, that we are not going to talk too long. Right. The Knights of Columbus are they are in submission to the Jesuits. The Jesuit order stands above the Knights of Columbus. Yeah? The Knights of Columbus actually is just an organization that is only to be found in the Americas. So most and for all in the United States of America, of course. And you can even say that the Knights of Columbus are just the American branch of the Knights of Malta.
Yes.
Because in the United States of America, you will not find so many Knights of Malta. You will find more Knights of Columbus. As they say here, 1.7 million members. And believe you me, more than 1.6 of this million members have no idea what they are really busy with. The same as in Freemasonry. The first degrees have no idea what they are dealing with. You know?
No.
Absolutely not. Well, Brett, it was interesting that you brought this footnote up, and I think that is a good way to end the broadcast for today, because I only read the end of this sentence on the page 226. So next time we can start on the top of page 226, and then we will continue for a moment in this chapter, because we still have some pages to go, as I see here. Really some pages to go. Yeah. Oh, a lot of.
All right.
We're going through all the different knighthoods.
We're really getting into it now, Jörg. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's good. So let's end this here, Brett, and I'm going to let you close the broadcast down, please.
All right. Thank you, Jörg. And wonderful that we could get together and get this done today and get a second reading done in a day. And it's always good to do that, make some progress on these books, because they're a big bunch of knowledge that is not so easy to come to terms with, I must say. And with that, I hope that everyone's doing well, and you can hang in there with us through the portions of this book that get into the very what can we say, deceptive parts of life, and all the deceptive corners of life. That's what we're dealing with. And we're all going through different painful things, so just know the Lord is there, and just go and pray to him, pray to the Lord, pray to our Messiah, and he's there for you to help you through your troubles. He is the comforter. We are just brethren. That's all we are, and we're just hoping that this message will reach more people, and that they might find the truth in the 1611 King James Version of our Bible. And with that, we're going to close it down for today. We'll talk soon. Take care, and please leave us some comments if you would like, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
That for the first time in human history, for the first time in all of human history, almost all of mankind is politically awake. And these new and old major powers face still yet another novel reality, in some respects unprecedented. And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. I once put it rather pungently, and I was flattered that the British Foreign Secretary repeated this, as follows. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people. Literally, it was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
We're at the very beginning stages of a very brutal and bloody conflict. And I believe that we've come horribly off track in the years since the fall of the Soviet Union. And we're starting now in the 21st century, which I believe strongly is a crisis both of our church, a crisis of our faith, a crisis of the West, and a crisis of capitalism.
His son Jesus is here in our midst. His bride, the church, is honored to host an event affirming the dignity of the human person and the sacredness of all human life.
I think Russia is no longer a communist state, first of all. That's very important to realize. It hasn't yet defined itself, however, effectively as a democracy. It is still uncertain.
We're at the very beginning stages of a very brutal and bloody conflict, of which if the people in this room and the people in the church do not bind together and really form what I feel is an aspect of the church militant, if the people in this room and the people in the church do not bind together and really form what I feel is an aspect of the church militant, to really be able to not just stand with our beliefs, but to fight for our beliefs against this new barbarity that's starting, that we will literally eradicate everything that we've been bequeathed over the last 2,025 years.
You didn't mention the president by name, but it was hard not to conclude that that's who you were referring to. Is that fair?
I was certainly referring to the threats that we are now facing with this stated goals of this administration, which would upset the last 70 years of a new world order which was established after World War II. 70 years based on human rights, respect for the law, free trade, all of the things, aspects of this world order that took place after one of the most horrific, terrible wars in history, and I'm for maintaining it.
We are grateful to be citizens of one nation under God, who acclaim this evening that in God we trust. Bless our two candidates, our benefactors, and those whom the L. Smith Foundation has been honored to serve for 7 decades. Guide us safely home, both this evening and for all eternity, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
It's no coincidence